She thought it was harmless, a wealthy family's joke, a cool little game. A black maid's young son, invited into a mansion's glittering halls, only to be laughed at for daring to sit at the chessboard. But what began as mockery quickly unraveled into something no one expected. Behind the smirks and sneers, a hidden brilliance was waiting to be revealed. This wasn't just a child. It was a genius in the making. And what happened next would shake everyone in that room, leaving them questioning everything they thought they knew. How could one game expose so much truth? For years, Maria scrubbed floors and polished silver in the sprawling estate of the Lockwood family. She worked quietly, never drawing attention, her hands rough from endless hours of labor. To the Lockwoods, she was invisible, just another maid blending into the background of their grand lives. But Maria had a son, David, a quiet boy, shy yet curious, with a mind that seemed to see patterns others couldn't. At home, he pieced together puzzles faster than anyone, studying books he found discarded in the trash. Maria knew her boy was special, but in the world she served, no one cared to notice. That was about to change, because soon, David would be pulled into a game he was never meant to win, a game that would reveal just how dangerous it is when brilliance is hidden beneath prejudice. The Lockwoods prided themselves on their lavish parties, evenings filled with glittering gowns, polished marble, and the quiet hum of old money. On one such night, guests drifted through the mansion, sipping champagne and laughing at jokes meant only for the privileged. Maria moved silently among them, refilling glasses and clearing plates, always careful not to meet anyone's eyes. To them, she was a shadow. But then, a cool idea sparked among the Lockwood heirs. In their boredom, they decided to summon David, Maria's boy, to the drawing room. The excuse was innocent enough. Let him play chess. To the guests, it was entertainment, a spectacle. They wanted to see a black maid's son stumble, to laugh at his confusion in front of polished wood and carved ivory pieces. David was let in, small compared to the towering shelves of books and heavy drapes that lined the room. He stood awkwardly, his second-hand shirt too loose, his shoes scuffed. Around him, the guests smirked, their whispers cutting sharper than glass. They expected failure. They expected amusement. But when David's small hands touched the chess pieces, something shifted. His eyes scanned the board with a quiet intensity, as if every move was already unfolding in his mind. The first guest sat across from him, certain of victory. Within minutes, David had dismantled their strategy with precision, leaving the room uncomfortably silent. What had been intended as mockery was turning into something they couldn't explain. One by one, challengers rose, wealthy men who boasted of their intellect, young heirs who prided themselves on private tutors and elite schools. And one by one, they fell. David's focus never wavered. His fingers moved swiftly, his brow furrowed in deep thought, as though the game was a language only he could speak. Yet with each victory, the tension in the room thickened. The smiles vanished, replaced by narrowed eyes and stiff postures. What began as laughter turned into unease. The Lockwoods hadn't expected this. To them, David wasn't supposed to shine. He was meant to be the punchline, not the story. And now, in front of their wealthy friends, their carefully maintained superiority was being threatened by a boy they considered beneath them. Maria stood in the corner, clutching her apron, her heart pounding as she watched. She wanted to smile, to scream with pride, but she knew better. She knew that brilliance, when it came from someone like her son, could be dangerous. And as the night pressed on, the guests' growing discomfort hinted at a storm that was about to break. Because while David was winning the games, he was also exposing something far greater, the fragility of their power and the truth they had long tried to bury. And the Lockwoods were not the kind of family to let humiliation go unanswered. By the end of the night, David had defeated them all. The guests who once smirked now sat stiff in their chairs, avoiding his gaze. The Lockwoods forced uneasy laughter, trying to brush it off as nothing more than a child's lucky streak. But everyone in that room knew the truth. They had witnessed a brilliance that shattered the lie they had built their power upon. Maria led her son out quietly, her hands trembling as she held his. She knew his victory wasn't safety. It was a spotlight. And for a black boy in a world built on prejudice, that light could just as easily burn as it could shine. Yet in her heart, pride swelled. For once, They had seen her son not as the maid's boy, but as something greater, something undeniable. Still, the question lingered. Why did it take a game? Why did it take genius for him to be seen as worthy of respect? Why must black children prove themselves extraordinary just to be treated as human? David's story is more than one night in a mansion. It's a reflection of countless untold stories, moments when quiet brilliance is overlooked, dismissed, or crushed under the weight of prejudice. And while his victory was real, the world outside that mansion still carried the same biases, the same unspoken rules. So what do we take from this? That genius can be born anywhere. That worth isn't measured by wealth, skin, or status. That behind every closed door, there may be another David, waiting for the world to stop laughing long enough to see. The question is, will we? By the end of the night, David had defeated them all. The guests who once smirked now sat stiff in their chairs, avoiding his gaze. The Lockwoods forced uneasy laughter, trying to brush it off as nothing more than a child's lucky streak. But everyone in that room knew the truth. They had witnessed a brilliance that shattered the lie they had built their power upon. Maria led her son out quietly, her hands trembling as she held his. She knew his victory wasn't safety. It was a spotlight. And for a black boy in a world built on prejudice, that light could just as easily burn as it could shine. Yet in her heart, pride swelled. For once, they had seen her son not as a maid's boy, but as something greater, something undeniable. Still, the question lingered. Why did it take a game? Why did it take genius for him to be seen as worthy of respect? Why must black children prove themselves extraordinary just